Before we get into today's video, I'm going to address yesterday's video. Apparently, people think they can email me and, I don't know, because it's an email, they can just be rude. It's almost like the big guy on Twitter. Well, don't email me and act like you are something that you're not, because that's just stupid. Because now I have your IP address. But the video is a real congressional hearing. Just because it was on Onion News does not mean that's where it came from. And the hearing is from H.R. 8791. It's a Reform Act for Homeland Security. Now, with that said, I stated a subscriber sent it to me, and it kind of made me think about things that were said by Victor. I immediately put in a Freedom of Information Act request for information about this. And until I get that paperwork, I'm leaving it up because people were sending me these emails and texts stating that, this is where I saw that it was fake. And these websites were just BS websites as well. So here's something to think about. You can believe in Dogman and you can believe in Bigfoot and you probably believe in aliens and dumbs and this and that, just like I do. But yet you can't believe that this could be real. Go figure. Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. And welcome back to a little midday bonus upload. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help the channel to continue to grow and go, just simply subscribe and click the like button. It's fast and free. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's midday bonus. Shall we? The midday bonus is going to be some subscriber submissions, photos from subscribers who have been researching Dogman for a while now. And there will be a couple that I found on the internet, and I will explain the story behind the photos as well. So to start off with, what we'll do is I'll share an encounter with you guys, then we'll go through the photos, then we'll end the midday bonus with another encounter. So let's get into this. A little bit of backstory. My boyfriend and I live in northern Michigan. The closest town is about 20 miles away, and the next closest is almost double that. We live right next to a huge national forest, so we have lots of wildlife. My boyfriend works nights and has for most of our relationship. Often I will take him to work and pick him up, so we are on the road a lot at night. One night, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was headed to get him from the gym after his shift. I had our dogs with me, my 2-year-old Doberman and a 14-year-old Husky. We came around the corner by our neighbors. They have a huge pasture with 1 horse in it. Never in my 4 years have I ever seen this horse out of his barn past nightfall. He retires to his shed when the light goes away and comes out with it. You can see into his shed as you round the corner. We get to the tree line on the back of the pasture and I saw it. It looked like a horse, but from the second I saw it, I knew it was not a horse. It was 4:30 in the morning. I had just seen him in his shed. All the hair stood on my arms and neck. My heart was beating hard, and I got a very weird feeling. I had to brake at the same time as we were approaching a stop sign. I looked over at my Doberman in the passenger seat to see him with all his hair raised and his teeth bared. He let out this guttural growl that I felt in my chest. The only other time I've ever seen him like that was the day his papa was walking around our backyard in the dark, and he didn't know he was out there. He's a very docile dog, and it takes a lot to get him that way. I had goosebumps and chills the whole 20 miles to town. Just 3 days ago, now, my boyfriend was on his way home after work in the gym when he came across the creature as well. He said he saw a deer eating some trash that had been knocked over from a trash can at the end of a driveway. Didn't think anything of it until the deer stood up on its hind legs and walked across the road into the trees. My boyfriend is ex-infantry. I have never seen him nervous or rattled by anything in our 4 years together. But he got home and I knew something was off right away. He had goosebumps, which was the first time I had ever seen him with those. When he told me his story, it gave me goosebumps and a chill as well. I don't want to speak the name of this creature that I believe it to be. About 2 months ago, there was someone out there blabbing loudly about a creature. We told him to hush before he summons it. Well, now here we are. There's many legends and stories about these creatures. We live near where the Dogman comes from. Stories of Sasquatch pop up from the elderly now and again. Whatever this creature is, it's awful close to our house. Now I am weary of all wildlife I see around. Though I'm not sure I'll know if it's near again. I will. My boyfriend will. At least the one dog, our Doberman, will. The husky has no senses left. He's far too old and lives in his own world. Still a healthy boy, though. I never forgot that chill it was sent down my spine, nor the way it spooked my dog. Let this be a lesson on what you speak into existence. Well, I don't know if I really believe in that whole, if you speak of Dogman, they'll come your way. Because I always talk about Dogman and other crazy cryptid things. But where this person lives is almost in the heart of Michigan, where the Michigan Dogman is said to roam. And Sasquatch, just like she said. So, let's get into some pictures. The first photo we are going to see is a photo taken by a sheriff out of Washington State. They were responding to a call behind a UPS building. The worker at night was, the night loading guy was out smoking a cigarette on the outside loading dock when he saw at first what he thought was a bear. He then makes a 911 call because of where it was spotted, and then a sheriff deputy comes into the location, sees the creature, and takes a picture of it. At first, the sheriff thought it was a large dog, but then realized it was far too big to be a dog and did not look like a bear. So the sheriff snapped the shot, and the creature proceeded to run very, very quickly in the direction of the forest. and has not been seen since. There was some talk on the Facebook page of the sheriff's office in Washington. One guy had put, "That's the biggest dog," and then comma, "man I have ever seen," or something like that. "Dog man I've ever seen." Something around those lines, referring to, hey, that was a dog man, but didn't want to put it in there like that, which I thought was pretty clever. And it's just a very, very eerie looking creature. It's definitely not a bear, though. And I mean, it would have to be a dog larger than Great Dane, at least double that size. So the next photo was sent to me from a subscriber. I believe they had gotten it from a Facebook post or something like that. But you can clearly see a canine in the woods. If this is pareidolia, I would have to say it's probably one of the best examples of, because you can clearly see a nose, lightning on the muzzle, lightning around the, lightning, not lightning, but lighting around the eyebrows of this canine looking creature. It reminds me of, the face reminds me of my German Shepherd I had when I was a child, except where the eyebrows would be, hers were a tan color. It's hunched over. You can clearly see shoulders on both sides, and it's obviously very, very large. Does not look like a bear to me. It could be, but it really... This could be one of the very best pictures of a Dogman, beside the one that I posted a couple of weeks ago. Well, I've got a couple really good ones that I'm going to share today too, but this one is spectacular. I mean, you can clearly make out, like I said, shoulders. You got some ears, the eyebrows, the graying of the eyebrows, the graying on the muzzle, the nose, which is darker than the rest of its body. So to me, and it looks like under the log that goes across horizontally across the screen, it looks like you can make out what would be a hand or a foot. Definitely a very, very captivating picture. Thought-provoking. The next, or the series of 4 photos I'm going to show you next, are all from a subscriber who reached out to me about 2.5 years ago. And they were actually a sheriff's deputy. And something happened, and they had to they ended up in a very bad car accident and ended up having to change their jobs, still in public service, and like animal control. They have had a passion for cryptozoology for a very long time. This person has sent me some amazing photography, being out on a lake, canoeing to certain islands, looking for these creatures where they are said to roam in the Virginia, North Carolina vicinity. And the first photo I'm going to show you is a side-by-side. You can see what she believes to be a pup, Dogman, in the crotch of a tree. The blown up picture is, you can see it right in there. You can clearly see it. It's looking right at you. You can see its nose. It almost resembles the one prior. It's got a grayish on its muzzle with gray on its eyebrows. And you can see the faraway shot in a zoomed in shot, side by side. But this creature is believed to be a Dogman pup, which it looks very similar to the first or the second picture we just saw. And I can see it. How about you? The next photo it's a little hard to make out. I purposely did not circle this because I can see it. I know where it is. She, when they shared it with me, left it just like this and said, "Can you see it?" And I looked at the photo once and I said, "Yes, I do." It is, if you're looking at the photo, there's a large tree on the right-hand side, kind of going at an angle up. It looks like a birch. And to the side of that is the Dogman. It is crouched down, looking right at you. This person told me that they used to drive down the road while on duty looking for runaway dogs and, whatever they had to do during their line of duty that day, and take photos of the forest. And this is one that they took, but they realized something was there when they took it instead of some surprise photos that they had gotten. But yeah, check it out. Diagonally, or you've got that birch tree on the right hand side diagonally going up, and it's right aside of that. You can make out, if you find it, you can make out the brow, you can make out a muzzle. There's distinct lighting on the muzzle and the brow once again. This photograph, they were doing exactly what I had just said. They were driving down one of the rural back roads where they lived down south. And the person that took these pics had told me about Kudzu and how it grew, and how a couple of times when looking for other animals, they had to go into these Kudzu growths, and there was actually tunnels in them. And they had seen Dogmen in this shrubbery. It grows very densely. It grows very quickly. The other day when I was talking with Jody, when we interviewed with Jody the other day, we had talked about Kudzu. And Kudzu has a healing property. She believes that one of the reasons why Dogmen, werewolf, Sasquatch heal quicker or quickly, not because of supernatural powers or anything like that, but she believes that the Kudzu has some sort of healing factor to it. Not like instantly, but it's like any kind of wild herb or wild plant that grows that the Native Americans or Aborigines, just the people who have lived prior to where we live, and we rely on pharmacies. Well, back then they didn't have pharmacies, and if they did, medicine was expensive, or they had to travel and they couldn't, so they used what they had learned throughout the ages to use. And she believes that Kudzu has a healing effect. Once again, it's not like this massive, quick, Wolverine kind of thing, but it helps heal. And you can see this Dogman. At first, when I saw it, I was like, what the? But you can clearly see a Dogman there. I showed this to at least 6 to 7 different people, and I've only had one say they couldn't see something. The fourth and final picture of the series from this subscriber is one they had taken. Like I said, they go out on weekends, on their days off. There's 2 that I know, maybe 3 that go together. This is something that they had took a photo, I believe, on their kayak or canoe, and they caught it off in the distance. It was standing on a rock, kind of watching them on this lake coming in to this little island. Imagine their surprise when they, look up and see this creature standing there looking at you. The photo is blurry when they blew it up for some reason. But if you look at the original photo, you can clearly see, even with the blurry one, you can clearly see that there is something there with canine-like ears and a very, very large body. They said this creature was huge. And the island that they're going out to is a very small island in a larger kind of lake. There is no bear on the island. It's rumored that Dogman are on the island, more than one. And that's why they go out to this island to take pictures. Of course, being former law enforcement, they are armed. I go hiking where Thomas Mezek disappeared. And I don't think anything, twice about that. But going to an island where there is known Dogman and then seeing one and still landing on that island, I don't know how they do it. That's a little crazy in my eyes. But yeah, here is that picture. This photo was taken from a subscriber out of Ohio. This is in a grove of planted pine, and they had a swing kind of set out behind or in front of this pine grove, and they had seen this Dogman out there a couple different times. And he had taken a few pictures, and this is one of those. You can see this creature peering out from behind this tree, looking right at you. You can see a canine-like ear, just one. He then took off. The person then, vamoose. But he got the photo. He'd gotten a couple of other ones. There was one standing kind of in the woods. It's very hard to make out, but you'd have to literally see it to know what I'm talking about. But this one, you can clearly see a canine-like face staring back at you. You can see the ear, like I said, some sort of muzzle shape. It almost, when I think of the creature that has been spotted out in Tazewell, Virginia, the fox creature, Foxman or Dogman, that looks like a fox, spotted out by the caves by 2 different subscribers. DJ not being one, but hearing the story of the Foxman out that way. This is what I would almost picture a fox Dogman-like creature looking like. And the final photo comes to us from a subscriber out of North Carolina who has had a couple of different Dogman encounters, but they took this shot after seeing what they believe was a Sasquatch. You can see in this red circle a figure standing. It is darker than the rest of the woods, darker than all of the rest of the trees back there. You can make out a neck, kind of shoulders. You can see shoulders, and you can see a what appears to be legs. I'm not sure about this photo. I wasn't there, but I believe the subscriber. The subscriber is a good guy, former police officer, former North Carolina sheriff, has had his fair share of run-ins with Dogman, werewolf. He actually lost his wife. They ended up becoming divorced because of an experience they had together, and she ended up becoming addicted to drugs and subsequently passing away of an overdose because she had such a hard time coping with what she had seen. Very interesting photo, and like I said, I wasn't there. I believe this person, this gentleman, and if he says he saw it, I believe him just because of the extensive amounts of time we have spent in talking and getting to feel him out, really, really knowing this person for who he is. Not only did we talk about cryptids, but we talked about a lot of different other things like old vintage dirt bikes and vintage four-wheelers, hunting rifles, different things like that. For those of you who are wondering what kind of vintage dirt bikes we were talking about the Hodaka. The Hodaka Road Toad, and the Hodaka Hodaka Combat Wombat. And then for four-wheelers, we were talking about, because for those of you who don't know, I have 2 vintage all-terrain vehicles. I have a 1988 Honda TRX 250R four-wheeler and a 1987 Honda 200X three-wheeler, both in pristine condition. But yeah, so that's how I got to feel this guy out. We talked about, firearms, about my SOCOM 458 that was actually sent to me by Tony Ramore from Tromix Lead Delivery System. And, just his encounters and then him sharing the tragedy of losing his wife in a divorce, but then him knowing how hard it was for her to really compute what she had seen and turning to drugs shortly after. And, her life tragically getting taken away far too early for him. So just a really, really good guy. And like I said he saw a Sasquatch. I believe he saw a Sasquatch. Like I stated in the beginning of this bonus upload, we will start with an encounter, share some photos, and end with an encounter. And here is that end encounter. This is my first time going public about this encounter out of fear of seeing it again. It took place roughly 14 years ago. When I was a kid, my family moved out of the city and moved to a small town called Deerbrook, Wisconsin, situated on the outskirts of Antigo. Our house was surrounded by woods on 3 sides and a river and field in the back. The first year out there was really calm and relaxing, other than consistent howling every night from coyotes, but every so often there would be a different howl. It was deeper, much louder. It would shake you to your core. At first, my parents would dismiss it as a wolf or a bigger coyote, but something about it seemed off. One night in mid-July, my brother, my sister, and I decided to pitch a tent in the back field along the tree line. We wanted to go camping. We sat with sticks roasting marshmallows until it got really dark. And then the typical howling starts. But once again, that deep howl was back and it sounded like it was right in our ears. With how loud it was hard to even guess where it was coming from, so we decided to put our fire out and get into the tent. Later that night, my sister had fallen asleep, so my brother and I chatted and made jokes. Within minutes, we heard animals running outside of our tent, and then this little raccoon started to claw at the side of the tent that I was sleeping on. At first, I kept poking at it, and then we heard something else, the crack of sticks from trees. At that point, my brother thought it was a bear and told us to be quiet and woke my sister up. We started to hear footsteps coming closer and closer. Pretty quick, they were right next to me. The raccoon just bolted out of there, and we started to notice a strange odor coming from somewhere. It smelled like copper, sulfur, and wet dog. It was almost overpowering and made me want to throw up. Then we heard our mom calling to us, and as she shined the flashlight in our direction, it revealed the most unsettling thing I had ever seen. The shadow of this thing was shining through our tent, and it was massive. It had pointed ears that were tilted back like a dog on the prowl, and its hands were human-looking with long fingers that ended in a point. The mouth was in the shape of a snout just a little shorter, and it had a mid-sized tail. My mother started screaming, and whatever that thing was bolted back into the woods. We rushed inside to our mom, and did not go back out there for a few days. Fast forward a few months. I was in the living room with my mom while my sister was in the shower. We were watching Wheel of Fortune or something like that when my sister screamed bloody murder. My mom jumped up and went to go get her. She pulled her out of the bathroom, and I was curious as to why she was freaking out, so I went in to see. Above the shower is one of those super small windows that only a small head could fit through, and in the window was a set of red glowing eyes staring down at me. We stared at each other for what felt like minutes. I didn't feel any fear, more just curiosity, and I didn't feel like I was in danger at any time. My mom rushed in and pulled me out as well. The eyes turned away. The rest of the night was quiet after that. A few days later, my brother came back from his dad's. He and I had bunk beds, so I'd always take the bottom bunk. That night was kind of gloomy. It wasn't really windy, but it was drizzling a bit. Later in the night, my brother and I woke up to the window being opened. It was locked beforehand, by the way. After that, we just closed it and went back to bed. It happened again and again, like 3 more times. Each time we locked it, but the final time was the worst. It flung open so hard that the glass shattered, and we saw the thing that had pushed it open, that same hand from the tent. But I could see it clearly now. It had matted black fur, or hair rather, covering its whole arm. The skin on its palms were a light tan, and the claws were about 5 to 6 inches long. And on the bottom window, I saw its face, or what was showing. It was just the eyes, glowing bright red. They looked like ambers of a roaring fire. My brother and I bolted, grabbed my sister, and locked ourselves in the back gaming room. We stayed there for the rest of the night, and when my mom came home, we told her, and we packed our things. We moved out of that house in a day and took what we could fit, filling one car and a U-Haul. My stepdad's truck was full as well, and we never returned. To this day, my family is scared to talk about this, but if my brother and I have a few drinks, we discuss it. My mom just shuts down whenever it gets brought up. All right, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope you enjoyed today's bonus upload. With that, I want to thank you all, and may the Great Spirit watch over all of us, and may He guide us down that path that we all call life.